Very good morning and welcome to Breakfast News. In the next 1 hour, we'll get you all the latest news and updates. We have different segments also from national to across the globe, to BizBuzz, to health and sports news also. Different correspondents will also be joining us with all the latest. My name is Abhishek Mahajan and with me is my colleague Preeti. Good morning, Preeti.
Good morning, Abhishek. Yes, a warm morning to all of you, and we're back once again with a fresh, packed edition of Breakfast News, a show which we get for you every morning to make sure you keep yourself abreast with everything that's making it to the headlines. We'll get you, as my co-anchor put, we'll get you everything that's making it to, in fact, to the headlines. First, we get to the top stories, and we've got enough to keep you engaged for the next 1 hour. Stay with us. First, the top stories.
External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar talks with Canadian and UK counterparts, discusses issues related to Afghanistan, also talks to Iranian and Oman counterparts, appreciates their supporting towards India's repatriation flights from Afghanistan.
External Affairs Minister on a 4-day visit to Slovenia, Croatia and Denmark. The visit to provide opportunity for reviewing progress in bilateral ties with 3 Central European countries, also to strengthen India's multifaceted relationship with the European Union.
Taliban initiates steps to forming a government for the Islamic Emirates of Afghanistan. US Defense Secretary says US will pursue counter-terrorism efforts against any threat to American people. EU says will not rush into recognizing the Taliban. Foreign donors alarmed about impending humanitarian crisis.
Union Home Minister Amit Shah to visit Karnataka today to inaugurate Gandhi Bhavan in Davangere. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh to address BJP executive meet in Kevadia in Gujarat today.
India COVID-19 vaccination coverage crosses 66 crore milestone mark. Over 69 lakh vaccine doses administered yesterday. Union Health Minister Mansukh Mandviya reviews COVID-19 situation in Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, says with COVID cases rising in Kerala, adequate steps should be taken to contain the interstate spread of COVID-19.
Flood situation remains grim in Assam and Bihar. Over 6 lakh people affected in both the states. Ganga and several other rivers in Bihar flowing above the danger mark.
Kashmiri Separatist leader Geelani passes away after prolonged illness. Tight security arrangements in Srinagar.
In Tokyo Paralympics, Indian athletes will try to keep up exemplary performance. In badminton, Suhas Selvi and Tarun win their first match. Prachi Yadav reaches in canoe sprint semi-final.
And in cricket, India to take on host England for the 4th Test match at Kennington Oval. Both teams presently tied 1-1 each in the 5-match Test series. Right, so those were the headlines. Let's start with our national segment.
Yes. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar on Wednesday spoke with UK Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab for the second time after August 25th, with a conversation focused on Afghanistan. Dr. S. Jaishankar in a tweet said, "Nice speaking again to UK Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab. Conversation focused on Afghanistan-related developments." On August 25th, Jaishankar and Raab had spoken with the conversation focused on developments in Afghanistan following Taliban's seizure of power in the country.
And later, the UK Foreign Minister also tweeted saying, good to talk with Foreign Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar to discuss how UK and India can work together to support the people of Afghanistan. We are committed to stopping Afghanistan becoming a terrorist haven, responding to the humanitarian plight and safeguarding regional stability.
The External Affairs Minister also spoke with Oman Foreign Minister Badr Al Busaidi. The External Affairs Minister's conversation with the Oman Foreign Minister focused on Afghanistan and also tackling COVID. He also thanked Oman for supporting repatriation flights. The minister also spoke to Canadian Foreign Minister Marc Garneau on Afghanistan situation. In a tweet, he said, and I quote him, "Welcome the call from Canadian Foreign Minister Marc Garneau. Good discussion on the challenges of Afghanistan." The External Affairs Minister also spoke to his newly appointed Iranian counterpart, Hossein Amirabdollahian, and also discussed the situation in Afghanistan as well as bilateral issues. In a tweet, Dr. Jaishankar said, "A warm congratulatory call to Iranian Foreign Minister, agreed to strengthen our bilateral cooperation, discussed pressing regional issues, appreciate Iran's facilitation of our repatriation flights from Afghanistan."
An External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, is on an official visit to Slovenia, Croatia and Denmark. In the first leg of his visit, the External Affairs Minister is visiting Slovenia. Slovenia currently holds the presidency of the Council of the European Union and has invited Dr. S. Jaishankar to attend an informal meeting of the Ministers of Foreign Affairs of EU member states. The External Affairs Minister will also hold a bilateral meeting with the Foreign Minister of Slovenia, Dr. Anze Logar, apart from calling on the Slovenian leadership. The External Affairs Minister will attend the Bled Strategic Forum being held in Slovenia and participate in the panel discussion on partnership for rules-based order in the Indo-Pacific. Will also hold discussions with his EU counterparts on issues of mutual interest, and during his visit to Croatia on September 3rd, he will hold bilateral talks with Foreign Minister and call on the Croatian leadership. During his visit to Denmark on 4th and 5th September, he will co-chair the 4th round of Indo-Danish Joint Commission meeting along with Foreign Minister Jeppe Kofod. The JCM will undertake a comprehensive review of our bilateral cooperation under the Green Strategic Partnership, which was established during the virtual summit in September 2020. External Affairs Minister will also call on Danish dignitaries. The visit of EAM will provide an opportunity for reviewing the progress in our bilateral ties with the 3 Central European countries and for strengthening our multifaceted relationship with the EU.
In Afghanistan, work is underway to form a new government. The Taliban holds the key to it. How inclusive will this government be and what implications will it have for the common Afghan who is keen to get on with business? But the question still, however, is will it be business as usual for them or not? Take a look at this report.
Firstly, one of the most important services in security, people are provided with good security and the rule of law established. Secondly, health services are provided. Initial works have also begun in the banking sector. In the media sector, we have also ensured that the system is running. Similarly, efforts in the sector of education are in progress. Other sectors will also be operational soon. We hope that the government is announced soon and everything gets back to normal.
Day 1 in Afghanistan, devoid of foreign military presence, work is underway to form a new government and bring things back to normal in the war-torn nation. Taliban members were out on the streets of Kabul to protect people's property and lives on Wednesday amid an administrative vacuum following the Taliban's takeover.
200 people are here with me, and I'm responsible for them. We have come here to protect the people's property, honor and dignity.
Well aware of the situation, Taliban spokesman Zabihullah Mujahid admitted that the Taliban may have some political differences with other groups and factions, but the priority is the interest of the country and the people. He said the Taliban wants to create a friendly atmosphere with all parties in the country, unite all factions and groups, and include people's participation in the government formation. Mujahid invited all officials of the previous government to participate in nation building. As far as the resistance is concerned, vehicles carrying Taliban reinforcements were seen driving through Panjshir Valley on Tuesday after clashes with militia fighters killed at least 7 people on Monday night. Since the fall of Kabul on August 15, the Panjshir has been the only province to hold out against the Taliban, although there has also been fighting in neighbouring Baghlan province between Taliban and local militia forces. Bureau Report, DD India.
And amidst the developments, the top US general has described the Taliban as a ruthless group and says it is unclear whether they will change. At a Pentagon news conference, US Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin and Army General Mark Milley asserted that whether or not they change remains to be seen. Austin also said the US military is considering coordinating with the Taliban in their apparent shared effort to defeat the Islamic State group's branch in Afghanistan known as ISIS-K.
Want to make any predictions. I would tell you that we're going to do everything that we can to make sure we remain focused on ISIS-K, understand that network, and at the time of our choosing in the future, hold them accountable for what they've done.
Austin has also said that it is our duty to defend the nation, while adding that US will pursue counter-terrorism efforts against any threat to American people.
It's our duty to defend this nation, and we're not going to take our eye off the ball. And that means relentless counterterrorism efforts against any threat to the American people from any place. It means working with our partners to shore up stability in the region around Afghanistan. And it means a new focus to our leadership in this young century. To meet the security challenges from China, to seize new opportunities in the Indo-Pacific and elsewhere, and to deepen our ties with old allies and new partners, and to defend our democracy against all enemies.
And the Defense Secretary added that he will be travelling to the Gulf next week to thank the partners there who have helped save and shelter Afghan civilians.
Now the war is over, and we're entering a new chapter, one where our diplomats and our interagency partners take the lead. We're part of an urgent team effort to move Afghan evacuees out of temporary housing in intermediate staging bases in the Gulf and in Europe and on to begin new lives. And I'll be traveling to the Gulf next week to thank our partners there who have done so much to help save and shelter Afghan civilians.
General Mark Milley said that, however, it was possible that the US would coordinate with the Islamist militants on future counterterrorism operations.
We don't know what the future of the Taliban is, but I can tell you from personal experience that this is a ruthless group from the past, and whether or not they change remains to be seen. And as far as our dealings with them at that airfield or in the past year or so, in war, you do what you must in order to reduce risk to mission and force, not what you necessarily want to do.
Meanwhile, US Under Secretary of State Victoria Nuland has said the United States is looking at all possible options and routes to continue helping Americans and legal permanent residents leave Afghanistan. She also said the US would continue to have conversations with the Taliban that serve US interests as well as those of US allies. The US has evacuated 2,500 Americans from Kabul over the past week.
We will continue to have conversations that serve our interest, as will our allies and partners. But the first thing we want to see is them live up to the obligations that they have under the UN Charter, as well as the public statements that they themselves have made about their expectation for an Afghanistan that respects human rights, respects international law, allows international citizens and Afghans who wish to leave.
The European Union will need to engage with Taliban, but it will not rush into formally recognizing the Islamist militant group as the new rulers of Afghanistan. The European Commission's Managing Director for Asia and the Pacific said that EU executive plans to secure funding of 300 million euros both this year and the next to pave the way for resettlement of around 30,000 Afghans. The director added that official relations with the Taliban would only come about if the group meets specific conditions, including respect for human rights and unfettered access for aid workers.
There's no doubt among member states and in the G7 context that we need to engage with the Taliban, we need to communicate with the Taliban, we need to influence the Taliban, we need to make use of the leverages which we have, but we will not rush into recognizing this new formation, nor into establishing official relations. There needs to be a strict line of conditionality linked to the enforcement of the commitment by the Taliban to allow free passage to those Afghans who wish to leave, and non-retaliation against those affiliated to foreign powers or the former government.
All right, so those were the current updates on the situation in Afghanistan, and the government formation has begun in Afghanistan, but we'll have to see how the days ahead pan out and how credible will the Taliban government be in the country.
Absolutely, Preeti, like you said, the Taliban holds the key, and how inclusive will the new government will be, and what implication does it have for the common Afghan people? That will be interesting to see. Our correspondent Amrit Pal has joined us to give us more information on this. Good morning, Amrit Pal. First of all, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar talks with Canadian and also Dominic Raab, UK counterparts, discusses issues related to Afghanistan, and also talk to Iranian and Oman counterparts. What more can you tell us?
All right, I think there is some delay in getting through the connection to Amrit Pal Singh. We'll try getting back to him again to get more on that. But what is to be noted here, Abhishek, is that different countries have put forth different perspectives on how they will deal with the Afghanistan, with the current situation in Afghanistan. All right, our correspondent Amrit is joining us again. Amrit, if I'm audible to you, let us know what is your understanding of the current situation in Afghanistan. We tell our viewers that Taliban has begun the process of government formation. What more can you add to this?
The process of government formation, Preeti, has begun. The Taliban has been talking for a long time to give the government a shape. What one understands is that there will be a broad council called the Raiburi Shura, which will run the affairs of the country, at least in the interim for the moment, headed by the spiritual leader or the Amirul Momineen, who will give directions to the government of the day. The Taliban does say it is trying to form a representative and an inclusive government. One understands that they would have some sort of representation of the minorities there, and also of women, but would it be effective representation? That remains to be seen. But one thing is very clear, that the policies of the government or the general contours of the government that comes into place will have a big stamp of the Taliban. And the essential philosophy that Taliban stands for, Taliban has made no bones about it, that they wish to establish a Sharia order under which, or an Islamic order under which they will run the government. So that will be there. One could expect some remnants of the erstwhile regime, especially in terms of some people with technical know-hows to run the government. But apart from that, one doesn't expect it to be a truly representative government in that sense. Preeti.
Right, and also Amritpal, Abhishek here, good morning. Also talking about the external affairs visit to different countries, it is learned that the evolving situation in Afghanistan is likely to figure in Dr. S. Jaishankar's meetings with his EU counterparts.
That's right. Dr. Jaishankar will be first visiting Slovenia. It's a three-nation tour, 4-day tour that the External Affairs Minister will be undertaking, Abhishek. Today he'll be meeting with his Slovenian counterpart, Dr. Ansel Loga, where apart from the bilateral aspects, he is visiting for participating in the informal meeting of the EU foreign ministers, which, because as you know, Slovenia holds the rotating presidency of the Council of European Union, and this meeting which has been called will deliberate, one, about the situation in Afghanistan, which would be the key concern of the European ministers, foreign ministers. Also, the situation in Indo-Pacific and how India is trying to establish a rule-based order would be what Dr. Jaishankar would be putting forth in front of the EU foreign ministers.
All right, Amrit, when we talk of the government formation by, Taliban, you tell us that, representations from, all avenues will be taken care of in the process of government formation. But what are the prospects or credibility of this government, Amrit? Because Taliban will not have any administrative experience in the past of running a country. And to this day, when they hold on to the powers, they will also, in fact, they are facing international condemnation. Most of the countries are refusing to recognize Taliban as the rulers of Afghanistan. Having said that, what is your evaluation or what is your understanding of the credibility of the government which will be formed in Afghanistan?
They do have some experience of running a country. I mean, the last time around they were in power for about 5 years, Preeti. They did run a country, but yes, not the sort of modern government that we see leading other countries. As I said, Taliban has its own idea of what the Afghan nation, how the Afghan nation should be run, and they've made that very clear. Yes, challenges remain, especially in terms of running, say, the central bank finances, how international assistance, which has for the moment dried up, funds from Bretton Woods institutions like the World Bank and the IMF are not coming in. Other international donor agencies have pulled back, and unfortunately, Afghanistan has been running on the international aid. Rather, the economic infrastructure of Afghanistan hasn't been strengthened to the extent that any sovereign country should have. So these challenges remain. The Afghan government, the new government, will have to grapple with them. But as they take charge, it is how they'll have to run. Secondly, as you said, the question of international recognition remains till today, and that's why we see, the Western capitals, especially coming out with the sort of response that they're coming out with. The Taliban will have to be seen as doing more when it comes to the concerns raised by the international community, especially the Western capitals, on human rights situation, on representation for the minorities of Afghanistan, the representation for women and the issues of women's rights, of the rights of the girl child. So they will have to give some sort of a modernistic sheen to its government. So those challenges remain as Taliban makes a bid to form a government and run the Afghanistan.
Right, challenges do remain, but next few days will be very, very interesting. Thank you, Amrit Pal, for giving us your vital inputs.
All right, up next, we're heading for a short commercial break. You're watching Breakfast News. Stay with us. We'll be back in a short while.
With the world's largest COVID vaccination drive, India is leading the way. As the vaccine reaches every corner of the nation, do not forget the mantra, Dawai bhi, Kadai bhi. Let's continue our fight against COVID-19. Vaccination along with social distancing, sanitization and masks.
Mask up! India.
Put your mask on and cover your nose and be safe.
Mask Up India.
Congratulations for such a wonderful performance in Tokyo Olympics. But heartbreak, you couldn't finish on the podium?
Finishing fourth is like the one place you don't want to be, but it was a really good attempt. I think I gave my best shot at it, and I'm so grateful that all the Indians in India especially woke up at 4 a.m. to watch golf and learn about golf. I think that was the biggest victory from the Olympic week for me. It's an honor, to be.
Yeah, welcome back after break. Let's look at the weather news now. In Assam, talking about the flood situation, the number of flood affected people has gone above 6,47,000 with 2 more deaths reported, one each from Majuli and Barpeta in the last 24 hours. Apart from that, overall flood situation in the state remains unchanged as no other significant changes have been observed. Number of flood hit revenue circles have come down to 57 from earlier 61. Presently 1,295 villages are in submerged states as just a few villages have been inundated by flood water last 24 hours. So far, about 39,000 hectares of croplands have been affected by this wave of flood. State government could be seen putting around efforts to lessen the misery of people during this flood time. Rescuers have evacuated about 1,500 people last 24 hours, deploying 61 boats across the state.
All right, to get us more on that, our correspondent Kamal Bora is joining us. Kamal, we've given a broad outline of how the state is affected by the misery of flood. You spell out more details. We've told our viewers that more than 6 lakh people have been affected in the state. How is the morning there today?
As you have already mentioned that 6,47,000, this is the present affected people. That is the only major changes we have witnessed so far in the last 24 hours. Yesterday it was 5,07,000 plus, and today it's 6,47,000. That is the major changes. Apart from that, if we see the overall scenario, it's quite, it's remain unchanged. If we talk about the number of affected villages across the state, just 5 or 6 villages added in the number to the number that was yesterday. It's now 1,295, as you have already mentioned. But if we see the worst affected district, it is still Nalbari. But few days back it was Lakhimpur, which is having still. Which is having more than 1 lakh affected people, but situation can be seen a little, just a bit improvement there in Lakhimpur. If we talk about the number of affected villages in the district, if we talk about the number of affected people, so it is we have seen a little bit of improvement. And if we talk about Kaziranga, that there also good news is coming from there that the water level is receding. In last 24 hours, 1 or 2 inches have been receded. This is one good news. But since the state is having less amount of rainfall in the last 2 or 3 days, so situation can be seen that is improved there in Upper Assam, but Lower Assam or Middle Assam, if we talk about, since the water is coming down from Upper Assam, that's why that surplus water is spreading, submerging some new areas in Middle Assam and Lower Assam. Morigaon, that falls in Middle Assam, we have seen that the number of affected villages has gone up to 251, which is the highest so far amongst all other districts, which is a normal phenomena because if rain stops today, definitely we cannot see the effect immediately. It takes a little bit of time. So it's a normal phenomena. If rainfall doesn't take place, definitely we can see more improvement in the days to come.
Right, and also Kamal, over 6 lakh people have been affected, but if you can tell us in detail what are the areas that have been affected, and tell us about the rescue operations too, because if the rain continues, the process of evacuation or the rescuing also becomes difficult.
Definitely, see, during rain, it's always difficult for the rescuers to rescue people, but the state is having very less amount of rainfall. If we if we go by the data provided by IMD, we have seen that the state has, this time witnessed 27% deficit rainfall. But just 1 week back, when heavy rainfall was taking place, it has narrowed down the deficit to a great extent, but it is still deficit here in the state. And if we talk about the worst affected district right now, it is still Nalbari, which is having more than 110,000 people. And after that comes Dorong. Dorong is also having more than 108,000 people. Then comes Lakhimpur, where more than 3,000 people. So this is the overall scenario as far as the rescue persons is concerned. You have already mentioned that 62 boats have been deployed, and various agencies like SDRF and other local agencies are also working. Yesterday also we have seen that more than 1,600 people have been evacuated from various places, mostly in Borpeta and other few districts in Lower Assam. So this is how the rescue operations are going on. 15 medical teams have also been deployed for providing medical assistance to the people. And if we talk about the rescue and relief camps, it has also come down. Yesterday it was 105 relief and rescue camps, and today it has come down to 85. And yesterday it was 4,000 people they were taking shelters, but it's now have come down to 3,500 people. And it shows somehow that I think some of the people who were residing in the relief camps, they have I think gone back to their own places, because in certain places situations started showing improvement. So everything is now dependent on the rain. If it doesn't take place, definitely the thing will things will improve in the days to come.
All right, thank you so much, Kamal, for joining us with those inputs from Assam. And up next, we get to a quick update on the flood situation in Bihar. The flood situation in several districts in Bihar remains grim, as all the major rivers are in the area are in spate. The sudden rise in water level of many rivers due to incessant rainfall has thrown life out of gear in Majha, Saharsa and Muzaffarpur in Bihar. Although there has been a slight decrease in the water level of Gandak river, but people are still facing problems due to waterlogging. In Gopalganj, water of Gandak river has entered around 10,000 houses. The movement of rail has also been suspended between Darbhanga and Samastipur as the flood water touched near the rail bridge between Hayaghat and Thalwara station of Samastipur division. Routes of some of the trains passing through Hayaghat railway section were modified in view of passenger safety and security.
And talking about Delhi, now heavy rains continue to lash Delhi and neighbouring Noida this morning, resulting in waterlogging in parts of the capital and inconvenience causing to the commuters. The national capital Delhi and its surrounding areas have been witnessing heavy rains for the third consecutive day today. India Met Department in a tweet said also would continue over many parts of Delhi and adjoining areas during next 2 hours. The IMD warned slippery roads and traffic disruption on roads expected due to rain over parts of Delhi and adjoining areas. Waterlogging in low-lying areas, occasional reduction in visibility and partial damage to plantations, horticulture and standing crops are also expected. The IMD advised to follow traffic advisories that are issued in this regard and avoid staying in vulnerable structures. The Met Office asked people to stay indoors and avoid travel if possible.
An update now on the nationwide vaccination drive. In a significant achievement, India's COVID-19 vaccination coverage has crossed 66 crore milestone. The cumulative figure stands at 66 crore 17,38,647. As per the latest update, more than 69 lakh vaccine doses have been administered in the last 24 hours.
Right, and Union Minister of Health and Family Welfare Mansukh Mandavia reviewed the COVID-19 situation with the health ministers of Karnataka and Tamil Nadu in a telephonic conversation. Due to the rising cases in Kerala, the Union Health Minister discussed matters related to COVID-19 management in those areas in Karnataka and Tamil Nadu which borders Kerala, highlighting the need to take adequate steps to contain the interstate spread of COVID-19. Mandavia requested the respected health ministers of Karnataka and Tamil Nadu to increase the pace of vaccination in the bordering districts to Kerala. The Health Minister on Wednesday also reviewed the supply and availability of COVID-19 related essential medicines in the country. During the review, it was noted that sufficient stocks of all the essential medicines are available. Raw materials for these drugs are also available in enough quantities.
After the discovery of a new strain of COVID-19 virus, the BMC has made significant SOPs and has made RT-PCR tests mandatory for international passengers arriving at the Mumbai airport from 3rd of September. Passengers from the UK and the rest of Europe, Middle East, South Africa, Brazil, Bangladesh, Botswana, China, Mauritius, New Zealand, Zimbabwe will have to undergo an RT-PCR test upon arrival at Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj International Airport in Mumbai. The BMC's directives have come after the central government issued similar guidelines for international travellers to India in the wake of new and rapidly spreading strain of the COVID virus.
In Gujarat, offline classes for 6th to 8th standard will resume today. The schools will reopen by following all the SOPs issued by the state and central government for reopening, maintaining social distancing in classes and outside the school premises. Use of face masks and sanitizers is a must for all students, teachers and non-teaching staffs. The state government had already opened schools for classes 9 to 11 from July 26th onwards.
Union Home Minister Amit Shah is visiting Karnataka today to attend a string of events in Davangere and Hubali. Also, the Union Home Minister in Davangere will inaugurate Gandhi Bhavan and visit Kondaji Basappa Memorial and also offer his tributes there. Later, he would inaugurate a police public school in Kondaji in Davangere district's Harihar Taluk and Central Library of GM Institute of Technology in Davangere.
A 200 personnel contingent of Indian Army is set to participate in the exercise Zappa 2021, a multi-nation exercise held at Nizhny, Russia from 3rd to 16th September. Over a dozen countries from Eurasia and South Asia will also take part in the same. The exercise aims to enhance military and strategic ties amongst the participating nations. Zappa 2021 is one of the theatre-level exercises of Russian armed forces and will focus primarily on counter-terrorism. The NAGA battalion group participating in the exercise will feature an all-arms combined task force. The Indian contingent has been put through a strenuous training schedule which encompasses all facets of conventional operations and counter-terrorism, among others.
India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest movements the modern world has ever witnessed. DD India brings you a glimpse of the struggle every day, and today we will talk about interim government of India before independence and transitional Indian revolutionary Virendranath Chattopadhyay. Take a look.
The day of 2nd September holds great significance in Indian freedom struggle, as on this day in 1946, the interim government of India was formed from the newly elected Constituent Assembly of India. It was for the first time since the coming of British that the government of India was in Indian hands, and this government had the task of assisting the transition of British India to independence. Originally, the government was headed by the Viceroy of India, but later it was transformed into a council of ministers with the powers of a prime minister bestowed on the vice president of the council. This position was held by Jawaharlal Nehru. Vallabhbhai Patel held the portfolios of Home Affairs and Information and Broadcasting. The interim government remained in place until 15th of August 1947, the date of the independence of India.
New Delhi. And although the scene looks quiet enough, there was naturally tense excitement when members of India's interim government, under the leadership of Mr. Nehru, went to the Viceroy's house. They were received by Lord Wavell, who was to administer the oaths of allegiance, of office and of secrecy, whereby Indian affairs passed into the care of an all-Indian cabinet.
The elections for the Constituent Assembly were not direct elections, as the members were elected from each of the provincial legislative assembly.
Although India remained under the sovereignty of the United Kingdom until August 1947, the interim government proceeded to establish diplomatic relations with other countries, including the United States of America. The Constituent Assembly, from which the interim government was drawn, also began the task of drafting the constitution for independent India.
Today we also pay tributes to the transnational Indian revolutionary Virendranath Chattopadhyay, who left us on this day in 1937. He was brother of the famous freedom fighter Sarojini Naidu and renowned Bengali poet and musician Harindranath Chattopadhyay. During the first decades of the 20th century, he carried out anti-imperial and anti-colonial campaign outside India, first in Europe and then in North America. Virendranath studied in Madras and Calcutta before joining Oxford University in 1902. Like other nationalist Indian students in England, he joined India House, London. During his years in England, Chattopadhyay established intensive contacts with revolutionary circles in Europe. With the outbreak of the First World War, Berlin became a hub for Indian revolutionary exiles. Virendranath became a leading figure within the Indian Independence Committee, founded in Berlin in September 1914.
The committee carried out campaign in and outside India among Indian soldiers and also engaged in military action and weapons training. After the First World War, Chattopadhyay founded the Indian Information Bureau in Berlin to help improve Indian-German relations. He also became active in the League Against Imperialism and spent the last years of his life in the Soviet Union. During the period of Stalin's repressions, he was accused of espionage and shot to death in 1937, having spent most of his life in exile in search of an ideology to build a future world. We salute his indomitable spirit and love for motherland.
Right, so this was the story of Virendranath Chattopadhyay. Moving on, Hurriyat leader Syed Ali Geelani passed away in Srinagar last evening after prolonged illness. He was 92. Geelani was previously a member of Jamaat-e-Islami Jammu and Kashmir, but later on founded his own party by the name of Tehreek-e-Hurriyat. He remained associated with the Jamaat-e-Islami Jammu and Kashmir for the most part of his life, but later founded his own party by the name of Tehreek-e-Hurriyat Jammu and Kashmir, Tehreek-e-Hurriyat. He led the All Parties Hurriyat Conference until late quitting the pro-freedom amalgam due to his worsening health condition.
Up next, we take a look at the global situation. When we talk of COVID-19, the world continues to fight against the pandemic. As per the figures, more than 21.92 crore people have tested positive for the virus across the world, while more than 19.6 crore patients have recovered from it. The deadly virus has claimed the lives of 45.45 lakh people. The United States has been witnessing a spike in COVID infections due to the Delta variant, and more than 4.03 crore people have tested positive. Also, over 6.59 lakh people have died in the country due to the pandemic.
And the World Health Organization recommends against using spare doses of COVID-19 vaccine to give booster shots to countries' fully vaccinated populations, since the priority is to ensure the global population is vaccinated. Speaking in Berlin, WHO Director General urged countries with spare vaccines available to donate any deliveries they received in the near term to COVAX or other initiatives aimed at sharing doses with poorer countries. He further called on countries to put a moratorium on boosters at least until the end of this month. Over 5 billion vaccines have now been administered globally, and almost 75% of them have been in just 10 countries. In low-income countries, most of which are in Africa, less than 2% of the adults are fully vaccinated, compared to almost 50% in high-income countries.
Call on countries that have contracted high volumes of vaccines to swap near-term delivery schedules with COVAX and the African Vaccine Acquisition Trust, or AVAT. Second, we call on vaccine manufacturers to immediately prioritize and fulfill their contracts or to COVAX and AVAT, and to provide regular, clear supply forecasts. Third, we urge the G7 and all those sharing countries to fulfill their pledge urgently, as barely 10% of nearly 900 million committed doses have so far been shipped. And fourth, we call on all countries to eliminate export restrictions and any other trade barriers on COVID-19 vaccines and the inputs involved in their production.
All right, up next we get to the Web News Review, a segment we get for you every day, wherein a colleague joins us with what all has been put forth in the social media platforms.
Right, our colleague Abhishek Jha has joined us. Very good morning, Abhishek. Over to you.
Good morning, Abhishek, and good morning, Preeti. The first news that I'm bringing to you is from the Indian Express, which says that UK Foreign Minister says intelligence was Afghan capital would not fall this year. We have seen that how quickly Taliban has taken over this country, and it is believed that the intelligence inputs were not favoring that Taliban take over so soon. And this is what Dominic Raab, the UK Foreign Minister, has repeated, that they did not have this sort of quick response or quick aggression from Taliban about the fall of South that we have seen in the last 2 weeks. The Hindu is the next newspaper that I am bringing to you. It says that after deficit till August, IMD says September to have above normal rain. We have seen in the last couple of days how especially north and northeastern region has been getting a lot of showers, and in fact Delhi has been inundated, waterlogging, and so many traffic is now also we have seen. But in terms of monsoon, the September month is going to have above normal, because there has been certain deficit in terms of overall rainfall in the month of August. This is what IMD has predicted. Next newspaper is the Times of India, which says that snow leopard and black-necked crane declared state animal bird of Ladakh. Before reorganization of the erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir into the UPs and J&K Ladakh in August, the black-necked crane and the Kashmir stag were the state bird and animal respectively. And now, since Kashmiri stags are not found in Ladakh, it was necessary to choose a new state animal and bird. The notification has clarified. So with this, snow leopard and black-necked crane will be the new state animal bird of Ladakh. The next newspaper is from the Hindustan Times, where the UGC asks all university vice chancellors to prepare database of international students. The UGC has asked this database. The commission has asked institutions to provide data of the students from the graduate level, and also asked them to include the details of alumni. So UGC is creating all the database of all the international students that are currently studying in various institutions, and that have those who have actually passed out and those who have been from foreign. So this database may be used for further updates. This is all from the web news section for our audience, and back to you, Abhishek and Preeti, for more news updates.
All right, thank you so much, Abhishek, for joining in with that crisp web news review this morning.
All right, let's move on to our next segment now, which is Sports Track.
India got off to a decent start on day 9 of Tokyo Paralympics. A comprehensive victory for Suhas Yathiraj in his first match. He beats Jan-Nicholas Pott of Germany 21-9, 21-3. The Indian won the match in just 19 minutes.
In canoe sprint, Prachi Yadav qualified for semi-finals in the women's single 200-meter VL2 Heat 1. Prachi finished number 4 in her heat with 1:11.098, 13.014 seconds behind leader Emma Wiggs. With this, hopes of a gold medal from her have risen. Prachi will now compete tomorrow in her semi-final race.
In Taekwondo, Aruna Tanwar defeated Serbian Denizela Jovanovic in women's K44 49 kg round of 16. And with this, she has entered the quarterfinals. She defeated Serbian athlete 29-9. The 21-year-old is currently ranked world number 4 in Taekwondo in the W49 kg category and is a 5-time national champion. She's also the first athlete from India to qualify for the Paralympics, specifically in Taekwondo.
In athletics, Arvind Malik will compete in the men's shot put F35 finals today. Arvind would be seen throwing a shot in the final of the shot put F35 at 4:28 p.m.
Alright, in cricket, England managed to level the series 1 each against India, courtesy a comprehensive victory in the third test at Headingley last week. Both teams are now gearing up to play the crucial fourth test of the 5-match series at the Oval, which commences today onwards. Meanwhile, fast bowler Prasidh Krishna has been added to India's squad for the fourth test. Krishna, who was kept as a reserve, was added to the main squad after the Indian team management requested for his inclusion.
Football now. Cristiano Ronaldo broke the world record for goals scored in men's international football as he hit his 110th and 111th goals for Portugal in their dramatic 2-1 World Cup qualifying win over the Republic of Ireland. The 36-year-old scored 2 late headers to break and extend the record after he had a penalty saved by Gavin Bazunu. Ali Dai, who scored 109 goals for Iran between 1993 and 2006, held the record, which Ronaldo equalled with a double against France at Euro 2020. The Manchester United forward has also equalled Sergio Ramos' European record for men's caps with his 180th Portugal appearance. The world record only ratified by FIFA this summer is the 195 Malaysia caps won by So Chin An between 1969 and 1984. Ronaldo, who rejoined United from Juventus on deadline day, and Daya are the only 2 male players to score 90 or more international goals.
And now a quick look at temperatures across major cities of the country.
Right, it's time for a wrap now, but before we go, it's a reminder to wear face covers or face masks before you step out of your house and follow all the government guidelines and COVID appropriate behavior. It's very, very important not to forget this.
Yes, added to that, we also leave you with some good visuals every day, and today we'll be getting you visuals from Argentina, where these animals are enthralling locals with their pleasant sight. Some 400 of these live in the Buenos Aires province of the country. Take a look. Have a good day ahead. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.